So, when I ask, what is Odoo? What comes to mind? Well, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a suite of business management software that some people say is like fertilizer because of the way it promotes growth. But some people also say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. But then again, you could look at Odoo in terms of how its individual software programs are a lot like building blocks. I mean, whatever your business needs, manufacturing, accounting, HR programs, you can build a custom software suite that's perfect for your company. So, what is Odoo? Well, I guess Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a fertilizer, magic beanstalk building blocks for business. Yeah, that's it. Which means that Odoo is exactly what every business needs. Learn more and sign up now at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
A man strolls down Midtown Manhattan's Park Avenue during rush hour, and he looks like any other New Yorker. The only difference is he's carrying an AR-15 style assault rifle in full view. He starts shooting, and by the time it's over, 4 people and the shooter are dead. He leaves behind a note referencing the NFL and the brain disease CTE. Today, the real story is about CTE, what it is, what causes it, and if it can really cause such a deadly outburst. Now, before we look at the headlines, let's talk about what CTE even stands for. It's chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Now, this is a progressive and degenerative brain disease that is linked to repeated head trauma, including concussions and subconcussive impacts to your brain. And it primarily affects mood and behavior and cognitive function. And you can't really know for sure whether it's present until autopsy. Now, can it really cause this kind of an outburst? That's what we're going to talk about. Here are the headlines. New York City skyscraper shooter suicide note blamed NFL for brain disease. New York City shooter targeted NFL headquarters, claimed to have CTE. Park Avenue gunman's note referred to the NFL and brain disease. So, what happened? And while we talk about what happened, here's what I want you to ask yourself. If you had been in front of this building on Park Avenue and you see a man walking with an AR-15 style weapon, what would you have done? Ask yourself that. I think it's important that we stay situationally aware, but we need to take it one step further and ask ourselves, what would we do if our situational awareness uncovers a genuine threat? Don't wait until you're in that situation to decide what your next steps are going to be. Ask yourself that question right now. So here's what happened. Shane Devin Tamura, 27, he's from Las Vegas, played football in high school as near as we can tell, and he targeted the building housing the NFL offices, 345 Park Avenue. I've been by it 100 times. Tamura entered the building and opened fire immediately in the lobby, killing 3 people and critically injuring another. One of these was Didarul Islam, 36-year-old off-duty NYPD officer who was there doing private security. Now, he had on body armor. It was an authorized private security, which a lot of NYPD officers do. He was killed confronting Tamura. Now, he knew what he would do. He would confront a gunman. And despite having on body armor, he lost his life. Alond Etienne, 46-year-old building security guard, was killed while protecting others. Wesley Lepotner, a 48-year-old senior Blackstone executive, was killed in the lobby, and an NFL employee was shot and critically injured. Shot in the back. So far, has survived. Now, Tamura entered the elevator intended for the NFL's 5th floor, but ended up on the 33rd floor at Rudin Management. There he killed Julia Hyman, 27, Rudin Management associate, shot when she left a panic room. Now, Tamura died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the chest There was a 3-page note that was left. And I think it's important to note that most of these kinds of shootings are violent suicides. When he came walking in there with this gun, it's my belief he had no intention of getting out alive. This was a violent suicide. And this 3-page note referenced CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. It referenced it. It referenced research saying, study my brain, please. I'm sorry. It also said, you can't go against the NFL. They'll squash you. Afterwards, police confirm a documented mental health history, at least 2 occasions where there are things in his record indicating that he had had issues. No medical record that he had CTE, but as I say, that's difficult to diagnose until autopsy. He had a history of playing football in high school. Maybe he had problems with his brain. Maybe he didn't. Boston University studied brains of 111 former NFL players, and 110 had CTE. That's 99%. It showed up in 91% of college players studied, 21% of high school players. And this is not something that comes from one big blow. It's the repetitive nature that brings it about. So it's not just football players. It can be soccer players that do headers. Certainly you see it in boxers, football players, hockey enforcers, wrestlers, soldiers. It can come from blast, not even impacting the head, just the sonic blast. Each hit, big or small, can rattle the brain. Here's the problem. Because you can't test for it in the living, there's no scan, there's no blood test, it's difficult to know what the causes are. But we do know that if you look back historically, these people have a high incidence of memory loss, confusion, mood changes, depression, anxiety, and irritability. They have impulse control problems. Are these diagnostic? Well, they also occur in people with other problems that don't turn out to have CTE. And if you're concerned about your children, you do need to know that contact sports before age 12 raises the lifetime risk. And you know there are some sports that have stopped some of the contact in the earlier ages. Is there a link between CTE and violence? Experts say CTE can impair mood, judgment, and impulse control. And most people with severe CTE never become violent. And when violence has happened, there has always been other pressures, mental health struggles, substance abuse, relationship breakdowns, financial strain. So in other words, stress, comorbidity plays into this. This incident does add to a mounting list of violent acts tied to former athletes that are later diagnosed with CTE. Phillip Adams, former NFL cornerback, killed 6 people. Stage 2 CTE. Aaron Hernandez, Patriots tight end, convicted of murder. Severe Stage 3 CTE. Jovan Belcher, Chiefs linebacker, killed his girlfriend, then himself. CTE was confirmed. These cases, you say, well, there you go, Dr. Phil. Actually, statistically, they're rare, but they make headlines. 1/3 of retired NFL players believe they have CTE. It's a real thing. There's no question about it. It can change how a person thinks, feels, how they react to things in life, and it can shorten their life. And it can certainly impair their judgment and weaken their impulse control. But violence is seldom, if ever, explained by one thing. It almost always is aggravated by some other life condition. Depression, anxiety, high stress, a situation where they run out of coping skills and they just don't know how to deal with it, and so they break down and turn to physical violence. It seems to me that if you look at this individual's history, that this was more of an excuse than a reason. We certainly need more research. Something I do think we need to pay attention to, and that I feel very strongly about, is to not spend all of our time talking about him. Let's take a minute to talk about Julia Hyman. She was 27, a graduate of Cornell University, She worked at Rudin Management. People talked about her by saying she lived with wide open eyes, just really welcomed life. Hollande Etienne, 46, a Haitian immigrant and an aspiring filmmaker, known for his work ethic and his devotion to family. Wesley Lapotner, 43, a Yale graduate, mother of two, and a prominent real estate executive. The other victim, the employee of the NFL's finance department, survived the attack but was shot in the back trying to flee. Think about how these lives and the life of Officer Islam were impacted by this senseless act of violence. Officer Islam had two children, two sons, young sons, and his wife was pregnant with a third child. They'll never have their daddy there to watch them grow up. At the funeral of their father, who was posthumously awarded the rank of detective, it was said that his young son sat in the pew playing with a challenge coin from the NYPD. I don't think it's quite hit him yet, the gravity of what has taken place. But I can tell you this, I know the NYPD, and they will take care of that young mother, that widow, and those 1, 2, 3 children for the rest of their life, because the NYPD is a brotherhood. And when those officers fall in a line of duty, they take care of one another. And this senseless act was tragic, but that brotherhood will close ranks. And that's the real story.
Wherever you're getting The Real Story, make sure you subscribe and follow. I'll see you tomorrow.
You know how every home has that one spot that just calls to you all day? For me, it's my bed. Ever since I switched to Cozy Earth's bamboo sheets and bubble cuddle blanket, it's game over. Because these sheets are soft, breathable, and keep me cool all night. I sleep several degrees cooler and wake up refreshed. The bubble cuddle blanket, like a plush faux fur hug. Cozy Earth gives you a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty, because once you try it, you won't go back. Go to CozyEarth.com and use my code PHIL for up to 40% off. That's CozyEarth.com, code PHIL, because your bed shouldn't just be a place to sleep, it should be your happy place. And Cozy Earth makes that possible.